Welcome back. Well, we're all going over to exJW Island, and once we get over there, it's just beautiful. You can hear the waves. You get closer, and closer. It gets louder and louder. You hear the woodpeckers, birds. It's beautiful. And if you listen really hard, in the distance here, I can hear it. Can you hear it? I can hear the music. I'll stand back a bit. You hear it? I'm going to get closer. It's over there. There we are. You can hear the music. Well, here I am. It's all in the background. This is exJW Island. My name is Vern. And honey, what date is it? What's carved in on the tree over there? It's September 25th, 2024 today. And you are on Fixing My Faith. So we're going to turn the music off. I like the waves for a bit here. We'll leave them in the background. They're relaxing. But I'm here today talking to you about some of the comments. Yes, we do read the comments. We've been on holidays this summer, so we're kind of catching up. And I found a comment here this morning that really caught my attention. Let me see. Can we bring it in here? Yes, we can. Here it is. I'll get off the screen. So the comment is from Vestland. Hello, sir. Could you make a video on the JWs Superiority Complex? And they were watching that video. We did one a while ago on persecution complex in Jehovah's Witnesses. So they thought, this one was needed. So they said it's one thing I have noticed a lot after fading out. Whatever topic I bring up, they seem to know best. So I'm not sure what he meant by they. Maybe us on the exJW channel, I'm not sure. Although they don't have any knowledge, skill, or understanding or education about the topic. Well, that's kind of a typical JW thing, right? The JWs, we used to do that. We would go out door to door, and we seemed to know it all. I remember when I became a JW, probably about 23, my mom and dad couldn't talk anything into me. I knew it all. And they had kind of a big family meeting to get me out of the JW religion. And I knew it all, and I knew all the Bible scriptures. And they had this little old lady there that was from some Orthodox church, and she was related to the family. And she had her Bible there, and I didn't give her the time of day. Didn't even listen. When I think back, I feel embarrassed to think back of how I acted when I was younger. So when we're JWs, we're kind of younger in thought. We haven't allowed our mind to do some deep dives on anything. We're young. We have children's minds because the governing body feeds us all the spiritual food at the proper time. So we have this big index. We know how to use computers, and we know how to use tablets if you're in the JW org. And you know how to use their website, jworg.org, to get people into it. And there's a video for practically everything. My good wife and I were just talking here the other day. We looked on, and they're talking about butterflies and how as if they're scientists going to teach us about butterflies. Like, it's ridiculous. But they're a superior authority on everything, including your health, right to your death. And we believe that as Jehovah's Witnesses, and we felt we had the truth. We would fight for it. But by the way, for everyone out there, I want to say this works. Live your life with love. See that? The new mug. Best mug in the world. You can find it on our YouTube store. Stainless steel mug. Now, JWs, we thought this was a good topic, my wife and I. I'm going to go back. Oh, I'm going to pause it. Okay, I found it again. I'm going to get off the screen. We'll read through some of the comment anyway. So it's on this persecution complex. Wanted to make a video on superiority complex. Let's see what's in there. How did we reply? I said, great suggestion. I hope you're also talking about exJWs as well, because many of us, including myself, still have a narcissistic personality, and left unchecked, what did I say? Left unchecked, it's like dynamite. So I said, good call. I'll make a video. Let me know your thoughts on what I just said, please. And so right away, he responded. He says, it's up to you, sir. You're correct. I don't know about the sir thing. You don't have to call me sir. He says, I had to humble myself on certain topics. To be able to say I don't know the answer is actually perfectly fine to say. And rich and wise men say that you should never be the smartest man in the room. You ever hear that saying? Never be the smartest man in the room. If you are, you need to enter a new room so you can learn. Yeah, that's very true. So what annoys me more than anything is when the active JW drops a comment in a video and then refuses to answer the criticism or responses. Or it's cowardice at the best. So I'm going to give him a big heart for that. So there you go. We're gonna cover this topic today on persecution complex. Or superiority complex right here. Superiority complex. So if you're active Jehovah's Witness or a ex-Jehovah's Witness, we may have some of these things to deal with. So we're gonna go right up, look at this whole thing, and let me see. Let's go back to this studio here, and this way you have the background to look at instead of a white screen. So superiority complex, what is it? It's an attitude of superiority which conceals actual feelings of inferiority and failure. So people that want to be superior, what it's saying is actually they have an inferiority complex. They want to project superiority, but they actually feel inferior. So if you think of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, they're small, there's only 9 men. They feel pretty inferior. Right now they're in all the courts, they're losing. They feel pretty inferior. But you see, they're going to have this attitude of superiority, that they're the chosen ones, they're the channel. Follow them, you'll be saved. You see, that's that superiority complex. That's it in a nutshell. So follow along here. We're just gonna look at a few of these things. Is the superiority complex narcissism? That's the question that everyone has. Is it narcissism? Well, the primary difference lies in interpersonal behavior. People with superiority complexes couldn't care less about what other people think of them. Remember when you're a JW, or if you're a JW, you go to the door. You really don't care what they say at the door. You're there to push your ideology on them. They'll say, "Well, I'm a Muslim," and blah 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 blah. You're not really listening. Because you're superior. You know you have the truth. Like you actually know you have the truth at the door. Now I'm standing back. I did not have any truth at the door. I had no business being at people's doors. I had a superiority complex. So that's how it is. Is it narcissism? Well, here's what it says. People with these complexes couldn't care less about what other people think of them. People, as JWs, we didn't care. Now, if people don't like them, that's just proof that they're fools. Think about that. If people don't like them, that's just proof that they're fools. So we would look at the people around us and we'd think they're all fools. right? Because they couldn't understand our ideology, because we were right. We have the truth. Anyways, that's kind of how it could be. Now, by contrast, narcissists, you see, here's the difference. A narcissist will adapt their personalities and manipulate people to earn their trust and affection. So think of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. What have they done? They've manipulated people. They've adapted their personalities to make everyone believe that they're the chosen channel to God, the only chosen channel on earth to God. That's how narcissistic this is. The only chosen channel to God on earth. Even though the Bible says in many places that God is love and all of those that have love are of God. That means all of us that have love, anybody that has love, you are of God. You are of a channel to God, right? We're light. That's what the same book says, that, the Bible. So they're not really caring about the Bible, narcissists. It's a bit different. So let's get back down and talk about superiority complex, because that's what a lot of JWs, the common person, has to deal with. Okay, so here's the next question. Is superiority complex a good or a bad thing? Well, the effects of superiority complex is caused by high self-esteem. So think of it, as a Jehovah's Witness, we once had this high self-esteem. We thought when you actually believe that you have the truth, it elevates you. It elevates you in your mind. So you may not work hard enough to achieve your goals. Failure may make you feel especially bad. So this is the thing, we have to live up to this truth. If we fail, make mistakes, we're really going to feel bad. And this type of overconfidence can also push away other people in your life. People with superiority complexes often brag about themselves or put other people down. Now, you may have seen this amongst Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. We could see this. So, next question, how do you know if someone has a superiority complex? How do you know if someone has one? Now, making exaggerated claims of one's accomplishments or abilities. So think about that. Exaggerated claims. Predictions, maybe? How about this? Constantly comparing themselves with others. You see, JW.org is constantly comparing themselves with the whole world, how the whole world's bad. And they're so perfect, they're so righteous. They even go on to talk about that. I don't know if I have a video. If I do, I'll play it. But they even called themselves kings. Gary Bro got up and said, we don't lie, the governing body. They don't deceive. They're our future kings. Like, what a statement. What a narcissistic statement. We know that's all curtailed. All these videos are curtailed by the 9 men in New York. These men. So now they're constantly comparing themselves with others. The media's bad, stuff like that. Overcompensating for real or imagined inadequacies. Overcompensating, we're God's chosen channel. Disregarding others' opinions or contributions and placing excessive value on their own. When it comes to the blood doctrine, it's not a conscientious matter. It's what they think you should do. You should die if you're in that situation. You see, it's not a conscientious matter. Now, is superiority complex an insecurity? It's often a defense mechanism to mask or hide a person's true feelings of inferiority. So it's not a diagnosable, it's not a health condition. But if you talk to mental health people, they can help you to identify these feelings of in being inferior and learn healthy ways of dealing with them rather than being a know-it-all, right? Okay, so the next question is superiority complex a mental disorder? Well, we kind of covered off in that. It's not a diagnosis, so it doesn't appear in any of the mental disorders. Now, moving forward, how to handle someone who thinks they are superior. So now here you get out of the JW org. Maybe you weren't feeling real superior in there and you got out. You really had to lower yourself. You had to be the most unpopular person in the whole group to get out. So you're definitely not feeling superior. You're willing to take the lumps, but here's how you deal with it. All those people around you. Let's say you woke up. You're inside the org. You're just waking up. How do you do this? How do you handle all these people that know it all, that know the truth, and you're not going to make it? How do you deal with that? Well, here's what it says. Remember to keep positive wherever you can. Keep positive, right? Because that will attract the same back, right? Compliment the person when they do something that stands out to you, and wherever possible, ignore small comments. So, if they say something that's good, compliment them. Ignore the rest. Don't comment on the rest. We're going to look at a few Bible scriptures if you want. I want to. That talk about this. And I thought it was interesting. I just plugged the same information in there. Now, the other thing to have in the conversation when the situation arises, don't leave it. Say something like, thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for your thoughts. We can thank people. People comment, they tell their own truth on a matter. Thank you for your thoughts. We might not agree with it, but rather than saying, I don't agree with it, or I don't know, we could say a lot of bad things, right? We could say, I don't agree with it even. And that is a different kind of an energy there that we're putting out. So it's really nice to say thank you for your thoughts. Like, we're trying to encourage people on this channel to talk about how they feel. So I want to say to everyone on the channel today, thank you for your thoughts. And we're listening because this video is based on your thoughts. Okay, so we're going to move forward. I like this. This opened up a big conversation this morning with my wife and I. And I learned a lot. I learned that I had to be like that. Thank you for your thoughts. I had to. I don't have to get the last word in. That's a bit of being a narcissist, right? Or I don't feel like I have to get onto the comments right away. Someone's on there telling how they feel. They're expressing themselves, and I don't agree with that. So I'm going to get on the comments, and that's wrong. And I don't need to do that. You see? Thank you for your thoughts. It's nice. I like this. So, what are the 3 traits of successful people? Superiority complex. As YouTubers, we have, a lot of us, superiority complexes. We take the risk of putting these videos out there, and then we take the risk of reading the comments. So, this is good for me. I hope it's good for you guys if you're a YouTuber, but this is really good for me. So traits of hyper-successful people. I could show you some of this stuff if you want to see it. It's just some basic stuff. I thought you'd want to look at the back part. Some people like to see the display. And there we go. So what are 3 traits of successful people? So traits of hyper-successful people. Superiority complex. They have the firm belief that they deserve more than anyone else as they are better than them. Have you ever, that's a superiority complex, I don't know, maybe a movie star would feel that way. I don't know. Okay, let's think of a JW. If you're an elder and you do all this work for the congregation, and I don't know, don't you deserve more than the others? Maybe that's why you're getting invited to the annual meeting in October this year, if you're an elder or a missionary or something, because it's going to tickle your superiority complex. You see how that JW org works? They tickle it. They like that. They like these complexes within the religion because they want you to become an elder and a missionary, and then you will get to see the annual meeting. But guess what? Don't worry. Us exJWs, us activists, we're going to show it in advance on YouTube. So that's coming up. Okay, well, here's the other thing. Traits of hyper-successful people. Serious insecurities. It might sound like a paradox, but actually it can be very powerful fuel. Serious insecurities and impulse control. So these are traits of hyper-successful people. Impulse control. That's me. Impulse control. I was a JW. I didn't take time to buy much. I had this complex. I had this superiority complex, because when I went to buy a house, guess what? I had the highest authority in the universe, Jehovah God, helping me to make the best decision possible. So I felt superior. When I sold a house, I felt superior. When I did anything, I felt superior. And I did things rashly and quickly and harshly because I had Jehovah on my side. You see what that does, folks? So this time around, my good wife and I are doing things this summer. We sold our farm, but we're sitting and waiting and sitting and waiting. And you know what? I've never done this in my life, but being patient, putting aside controlling things, because it's not about that. Two is better than one. When you become one as two, you become more powerful, right? So my wife is quite a bit opposite of me. She's not she never was a JW, never had these complexes, never been trained to be superior, that I have the truth, any of this stuff that all of us are dealing with. So she's quite opposite, she's quite balanced, and she's quite good for me. So it helps me to reflect on who I am and to stand outside of the box and to look down and to take a look at myself and reflect on myself in conversations online, on videos, in my past life as a JW, growing up, how this all developed. So it's easy to do once we start learning about it and thinking about it. So let's move on. How to fix it. If we have it, I have it. I want to fix it. If someone with a superiority complex has a desire to change, they can overcome this complex with self-awareness, openness to constructive feedback. What happens when you get some constructive feedback? You put a show out like on the Anunnakis. I did that when I was starting. I was putting all these shows out on YouTube. And I thought it was good because it's fixing my faith. I'm sharing my research as I'm moving along this path. It's a journey out of the exJW, out of the JW mind into an exJW mind, and then there's still a progress. So eventually we will not think of ourselves as exJWs. We'll think of ourselves as just people. You ever think of that? Right now you're on this channel, we're exJWs. I have so many people that ask, are you really a JW? Were you baptized? And over and over again, I'm telling them, and you know, if you're not, you have no credibility on this channel, because they want to talk to someone that experienced it. Well, I think there has to be a channel for the worldly people. You know, a lot of us leave, we get remarried, we partner up with worldly people. Not going back there. I did. Not going back JW. I tried that for 30 years, baptized, pioneered. Ministerial servant, did the whole thing, tried lots of different things, could never qualify to be an elder. But since I've been reading the Elders book now, I know why. That happens every Monday. It's interesting. It's an interesting journey, folks. Self-awareness, openness to constructive feedback. So when we get comments like from Vestland 3877, I could take that the wrong way. Could you make a video on being superior? Maybe I had a bad day. I could read that wrong. Who knows? But if we're open and we look at this and we find out, holy smokes, I have that problem. And then I'm going back and thinking about my YouTubes. Do I do that on YouTube? I hope not. But you see, once we learn about these things, we can curb them. It's quite easy. So constructive feedback will do that. Listen to the comments. Support and psychotherapy. Sometimes we need some therapy. Sometimes it's So let me ask you this question. The 9 men in New York that lead Jehovah's Witnesses, for them to wake up, they would need some tremendous psychotherapy. Would you not agree? People are dying over their decisions. It's estimated that there's, 50,000 people that died over the blood transfusion thing. 50,000. That's a lot of deaths. What if they're wrong? Well, we know they're wrong. How do they admit that they've been wrong? How do they change that? Well, we'll see. That's coming up. If they want to fit into being a religion on this planet, they can no longer mandate death of their members. They can no longer mandate that. They can no longer push that. They can no longer discipline people. If you stood up and said, I'm going to take a blood transfusion, you will lose all your privileges. Publicly, you will be disciplined. They may not disfellowship you, or they may. If you start talking to people in the congregation and say, I don't think you should sign that card, so you go to the meeting and they're all doing the cards, and you stood up and you said, don't sign it, I'm not signing it, you will be brought back to the little room in the back by 2 elders. Pretty soon it'll be 3, and pretty soon you'll be DF'd. That means disfellowshipped, the worst thing that could happen. Punishment. That's going to go away, folks. That does not meet human rights. We've shown that all in the Elders book, how they'll discipline you regarding this stuff. So if you'll go back to my other videos, there's a playlist on the Elders book. All the chapters. Okay, how to deal with someone with a superiority complex at work. You go to work, your boss might have that. Lots of bosses, right? I was a boss all my life. Sure, I had it. Now, don't let them bait you. It's tempting to fight back with an even bigger ego of yourself. Don't let anybody tempt you. Use their names. Don't call them boss. Use their names. Assert your needs. Speak your mind. Focus on the team's mission. And change the work environment. Reduce the emphasis on the workplace competition and force cooperation. So you can have a positive force or reaction at the workplace if you're dealing with a superiority complex around you, your boss or someone. Now, how to deal with people who think they're better than you? Act unimpressed. Act unimpressed. We're going to look at a Bible scripture that'll show you that. If you drool over their expensive clothes or praise them excessively for their accomplishments, you're only fueling their feelings of superiority. Instead, try not to show any emotion when they start bragging. Just say cool or congratulations and change the subject. So you don't get into an argument about it. It'll be bad. They'll have to win. Now, can superiority complex be justified? That's an interesting question. For example, a student who consistently comes at the top of the class may, after a time, might develop a feeling of superiority. And by the same token, a stock trader who consistently has been making the correct calls for a certain length of time may feel superior to other traders. So this can happen in real life, even if you're not a stock trader or a student in school. It could be as simple as being on YouTube, having an idea, and throwing out a supposition. I do it all the time. The JW org is going to fall, or this is going to happen. We do that, eh? And then all of a sudden, maybe we did the beard thing. They're going to have to change that. I just threw one out, the blood thing. They're going to have to make it conscientious. I could come back. What if they do that at the 20 meeting? I come back on, I say, you see, I told you, and I could bring back my video and say, I'm like a prophet. I even have to laugh saying that. But sometimes we get good at predicting. That's like a stock trader, because we see the patterns, and we look at the patterns, how the JW org has flip-flopped over the years. So why have they flip-flopped? Usually over media. Maybe they're losing money somewhere. They have to flip-flop. So they do. There's bigger decisions in the background, folks. It's not new light from Jehovah. Why would they flip-flop? New light today. Oh, we went back. Okay, we're going to do it again. We went back. We could give you lots of examples. End of the time dates, especially. Okay, let's move forward. What is it called when a man thinks he's superior to a woman? Is that not a bit of a superiority complex? I think it is. Uh-oh, my good wife came in. She heard that.
Sounds like I came back at the right time.
Okay, we're just about at the end. The main meaning of chauvinism is an exaggerated sense of patriotism, or being convinced that your country is vastly better than any other. The word is most familiar in the sense of male chauvinism, And when it's used this way, it means a belief that men are better than women. And we know where that's going. We know how that works. If we look at the Bible, I'm not going to cover the Bible on this today, but it says the two become one. And by becoming one, you're better than each other. So the two of us each have attributes. And when we combine those attributes, we become very powerful. There's no one is better than the other. It's like, I looked this up, and I'm not going to cover it, but if you plug this into the Bible tool, it pulls up the body. Paul talked about this to the Corinthians, what good's your body without its eyes? What's good is your body without a foot or a hand, And if you lost a limb, you know how debilitating it is. So think of that like the woman, the man, we're each part of the body. We're each part of the oneness. It's a nice way of looking at it. The Bible does have stuff in it that's good. It's I don't mind using it. Now we're going to look at a few other things. What does the Bible say about superiority complex? Here it is, Corinthians. I just gave you that example. The eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, Corinthians. It talks about that the body does not consist of one member, but many members, right? So if you're in a relationship, man, woman, it's like the body, this arrangement. We need each other. One's not good with the other. How do you keep warm at night without your partner? It's pretty hard. Harder. There's lots of scriptures on this. So I plugged that in. What does the Bible say about debating with people? This is when you get into debates about, there's a superiority complex. Maybe I'm online, you're debating with me, and my superiority complex kicks in. And it could, let's say we're talking about fire alarm systems. Well, I did that all my life professionally. I might think I'm a know-it-all on that stuff. Although there's a lot of new technology out there and a lot of new things, and I'm finding I know very little. So I was part of the old school. You learn by doing, didn't take the schooling. Now, debating with people, a soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stirs up anger. That's Proverbs. I love Proverbs. Even though I could look at the Bible and say, yeah, it's all this, all that, myths and stories and things like that. They're good stories. If that's all it is, they're good stories. They're thousands of years old. They've been proven. They've been left in here. I like them, and they make good sense. A soft answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stirs up anger. Think about that. Isn't that how it works? The Lord's servants must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone. I know I have a lot of work to do there. Kind to everyone, that's always work in progress. A fool, here's one. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding. A fool. But only in expressing his opinion. Those are fools, right? So here's what Titus says: avoid foolish controversies, genealogies, dissensions, and quarrels about the law, for they are unprofitable and worthless. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. So it doesn't mean we have to be a pushover. Season it with salt, and thank you for commenting. Appreciate that. If someone is whacked out and they're just expressing themselves, and I may be using whacked out loosely, because I'll tell you what, I was whacked out. For 30 years of my life, I was whacked out, going to people's doors, telling that we were the only truth on earth. That's whacked out, man. I went to all my family, relatives, did that. That's whacked out. So, yeah. That's why they didn't talk to me much, right? They actually were doing this. I had a superiority complex. So they were actually practicing some of the biblical stuff. They wouldn't argue with me too much. They didn't really know a lot about the Bible. But boy, I knew it all. And that's how it all starts. So as an exJW, I can say this is something I have to work on. It's work in progress. Thank you for being patient. Vestland, thank you for expressing yourself. We're going to bring an end to the show today. And we're going to move back into the studio, fixing my faith. I'm going to say goodbye and keep living your life with love. It really works. You do that in your household, all around with your neighbors, your friends. And, they might have some ideas that might be whacked out to you, but we once had whacked out ideas and we were proclaiming them too. So, I get it. I get it. And thank you. That's what we say. Thank you for all your comments. We'll see you in the next video.
My sound make the crowd gather round.